Hello everyone, this is Steve with the free Bullion Investment Guide. Today is March 21st and I'm doing a review and outlook price analysis video for silver and gold. And as you know, technical analysis is almost obsolete right now. Fundamentals, chaos, panic, uncertainty, mass hysteria is practically taken over the market right now. It's just plunging in price. The S&P 500, that's this right here, it's down to 2274, and the Dow Jones is down to 1900s. Well, not 1900s, 19,000, excuse me. Let's hope it doesn't get down to that far. Silver and gold, as you know, have been tanking much like the broader market. Gold fell through the very strong support level of 1480 last week. It stopped its fall just short of the 1445 level, and then it bounced back up to nearly 1500. Silver, on the other hand, fell drastically in price through all support levels made through the last several years. Since we had the drop in price from 2014 and 2015, we haven't seen these levels in quite a long time. We dropped all the way down to just above the 1165 level before we popped back up. The significance of this level, I will show it to you. I don't know what the significance of it is, quite honestly. Let me zoom in here real quick. The last time we saw 1165 was, well, the last time we saw it was around January 2009, and then it was tested again in April of 2009 in silver. As far as what significance that has, I don't put a lot of weight on this, but I'll show it to you what I've found. The significance of March and April of 2009 is that was when the crash of 2008, the stock market stopped crashing, basically. And this is the S&P 500, and this is the Dow Jones. And in both charts, you can see that in March 2009, the stock market stopped crashing. But I don't think the stock market has ended its fall. So as far as my narrative over the last several weeks is that silver and gold are going to bounce back before before the broader markets. I showed you this chart in last week's video. This chart was made on the on March 12th, I believe, by TraderGab. That's his Twitter handle, nickname. I will have I have a link to his Twitter account in the last video. I'll also share that with you in this one down in the description area below. But what this chart shows you is that the blue line is the S&P 500, and the yellow line is clearly gold. This number has now changed to 11%. Gold has dropped 11% from its high for the year. But what he was showing in this chart is that the S&P 500 continued to fall when gold had already started to bounce back. And silver is much the same way, but clearly in 2000, 2001, I think this was about when gold started to pop back up. This was after the dot-com bubble, and this was the crash of 2008. Clearly you can see that the broader markets, the S&P 500, didn't stop falling in price until 2009, but gold bounced back much earlier in late 2008. So let's get back to the charts. Now, one thing that a lot of people hear in the precious metals industry is that, or the ones that want to see gold and silver go higher, is that once all the sellers get out of the market, then it'll come back up. I mean, I've been hearing that for years in the bullion market, and I quite honestly think we might be there. I'm not going to put any money on that, but it's possible that we may have seen the end of all the falling. But again, I'm not trying to tell anybody that we've seen it. It's just I don't see any more sellers. I really don't. The market from the bullion dealers is drying up. I believe the U.S. Mint is well behind of their orders. I think that it's going to be a month or two before they can resupply bullion dealers, as well as other private mints and other government mints around the world are all dealing with supply issues, and we just aren't seeing, we can't find any more sellers. So in the silver market and in the gold market. So I really think that we may have seen the end of the drastic selling in gold and silver like we've been seeing over the last few weeks. But again, that remains to be seen. I do not want to say that's definite. There's no way to confirm that that's going to be the case, but we will have to see as far as the market goes. But as far as the Dow Jones and S&P goes, I mean, I'm as optimistic as the president is. I do think that things will bounce back pretty quickly. I think it'll be harder for some industries, though, for the travel industry. I mean, people will be spooked. I mean, as far as restaurants and so on like that, somebody coughs in a restaurant. Sometimes, quite honestly, I know some people that get into coughing fits or have really allergies where they will get into sneezing fits, and I tell them, if you do that in a restaurant now, I mean, before people might have just brushed it off, but you do that in a restaurant now, when things get back to normal, they might ask you to leave, or they might like move their chairs or not come back or leave altogether. And that's what we're dealing with. That's what we're going to be dealing with in the near future. A lot of paranoia, I think, as far as with hearings. I was in Walmart yesterday, and an old man right next, as he was coming towards me, coughed, and he didn't cover his face or anything. And I was like, anybody else probably would have freaked out, but I quite honestly just took it in stride, and am quite thankful for the level-headedness that God has given me, to the peace that God has given me through this, to just be like, you should really cover your mouth because we're not in normal times, sir. So I didn't say that. I probably should have, but I was just thinking it. So anyways, for the outlook for gold and silver, I hope this is the end of the fall in prices. We can look at support at 1480. As far as where it's going to go right now, clearly it's an oversold territory for gold. Same for silver. Silver's clearly in oversold territory. What happens tomorrow, this week, I really don't know. The other website that I showed you before was the worldometer, where they update their numbers practically on an hourly basis. One thing that I've heard from multiple accounts is that the U.S. is mostly looking at South Korea with their numbers. And one thing, when you look at South Korea's numbers, yes, they only have 8,000, and we're already up to 22, I think it said, for the U.S., 22,000, is the difference in population. South Korea only has 50 million people, where we have 350 million. So we have 7 times more the population. So clearly our numbers are going to be higher. But hopefully we can nip this in the butt before it gets much worse. And that's what I heard in the press conference, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get this to end, as not end necessarily, but they did a 2-week try. They're doing it on a 2-week. I forget what they called it, but anyways, they're on a 2-week basis. They want to start seeing their numbers come down like South Korea in 2 weeks. And this is the total cases. Of course, total cases is active and recovered people. Of course, that number is going to continue to go up. But what I like to see in the South Korea number is that their active cases are coming down. And that's what the United States is looking at. Now, clearly, the deaths are still occurring. There's going to be unfortunate souls in this that just people with people who are elderly, people who have underlying other illnesses, and it's going to affect them, unfortunately. But in the U.S., as far as our active cases, if you haven't clicked on this, you can go on to, I'll have a link down below, worldometer. They have all the active cases, all the total deaths, and how much is in each state. But the total cases clearly is still on the up curve, like it was for South Korea, but the active cases is still clearly on the up curve as well. And that's where we want to see a stop to the active cases. We want to start to see, clearly we want to see a stop to it, but we want to start seeing it stop rising. Basically, we want it to start to look more like South Korea, where it starts to even out. And when that number starts is when likely we'll stop having the panic in the broader markets of the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones. But when that ends is, I don't know, and nobody really knows. But I know that the task force is looking, hopefully, that we'll start to see a peak to the active cases sometime next week, sometime late next week. They talked a lot in their 2-week outlook, and we're in our first week, and next week, the end of next week will be 2 weeks. So we'll see if their hypothesis with everything turns out to be right or not. So anyways, for gold and silver, I truly hope that this is the end of the selling. I don't see where anybody is even thinking. I mean, I wouldn't sell at this price. I don't know. And if I was going to sell anything at this, I wouldn't sell at this price. I'd put a heck of a premium on it. And that's what's going on in the bullion market. The dealers can't afford to sell at this price because they bought at higher prices, and it's great for business as far as the amounts that are flocking to their websites, but as far as meeting demand, they can't do it anymore. A lot of them are out of demand, out of product, and they're getting gouged as well on the wholesale side, because wholesalers are like, we don't have anything to give, and we're losing our shirts if we sell it at spot price now as well. So, it's catch-22, and I believe this price is also below the price to bring it out of the ground. So miners are getting hit, and they're as far as what miners are doing, I don't really know. I haven't paid that close attention to that side of the market, so I can't really say. So anyways, to end this video, I do believe it's a possibility that we've seen the end to the selling. However, we will have to see how the gold and silver markets react to the broader market. Silver could continue to fall. Again, I don't know. And I just wanted to touch base with you and go over everything. But I do hope that this is an end to the selling, because I don't see where any more sellers are going to be coming out of the woodwork. It just doesn't seem possible for me. So anyways, that's it for this week. I hope and pray that you will stay safe, stay healthy, take care, and God bless.